And thank you so much for choosing News 8 here this morning. So glad you're with us. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Nadi Iranpour. An update from Mama Iranpour.
Okay, Mama Iranpour, what's going on?
It's drizzling in La Jolla. Thanks, Mom.
Our weather spotter.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, some areas it's dry. And
yeah,
when
true.
I left the house this morning, I'm like, oh, where's this rain? But it's here in some spots. So as you can see, right outside our studio here, rain in Kearney Mesa, and it came down pretty good. You know, even at this moment, we're seeing that darker green on the radar. So there are areas where it's starting to build a little bit, ponding on the roads, the parking lots, as you see right there. So it may be a slick commute for some spots. Now, I will point out, North County, you look pretty dry. Let's zoom in and show you where some of it is coming in. So right at Point Loma, Coronado, you're starting to see some more drops. And then here you are looking right through Claremont, and University City. And then I do want to point out, so where the rain has been coming down for the past hour or so, unfortunately, that's also where accidents have occurred. So you see the green right there showing it's wet on the 805, the 52, the 5 as well. And then these two accidents just popped up. So a lane is blocked because of a crash on the 5 northbound at Balboa. And then also on the 8, that's westbound at Hotel Circle, a lane is blocked there. Most likely weather related. It is starting to get slick already in some parts of San Diego.
We're staying on top of breaking news of a fire at the site of a popular restaurant chain in Oceanside. Right now, firefighters trying to figure out how it all started. News 8's Evan Arani is joining us live in Oceanside. So what's happening there right now, Evan?
Yeah, good morning. We want to show you what's going on behind us right now. The flames have quickly returned to this Rubio's here on the corner of Oceanside Boulevard and College Boulevard. The crews originally had moved all of their engines to try to hit it from a different side of the building, and in doing so, it kind of allowed those flames to rebuild once again. So now they're in the parking lot, just still trying to get these flames under control. This is a fire that has been burning for close to 7 hours now. The call came in just around midnight last night of that second alarm fire. More than 10 engines responded, and still now in the 6 o'clock hour, they are continuing to battle these flames. Now, a portion of College Boulevard is still closed to the public. The police have it blocked off. Again, we've seen about 10 engines or so coming through, but now they're down to probably about 3 or 4, and police still on scene. Earlier this morning, there was an ambulance that was here, but we didn't see anyone coming in or out of it. It was likely here just as a precaution. But again, this building has been burning for close to 7 hours at this point. There is a lot of smoke, fire, and water damage to the building itself. Fire crews are likely going to be on scene for the next several hours trying to figure out how exactly this fire began. This Rubio's closed just around 9 p.m. last night, so between 9 o'clock and about 11, fire crews and investigators are likely going to be trying to figure out how exactly it began. Now, for travelers making their way through College Boulevard, again, you can reroute your morning commute if you need to do so. That's going to be for people coming through College Boulevard. However, you should be able to just kind of bypass it through another portion of Oceanside pretty quickly. But again, this is likely going to be something that keeps fire crews on scene for the next several hours at least. But right now we do have fewer crews on scene than what we saw, say, 2 hours ago when there were 10 to 12 engines or so responding. So we're continuing to stay here this morning trying to figure out more in terms of how this began. But for now, I'll send things back to you in the studio.
Evan, thank you. New this morning, an investigation underway into this rollover crash along the 15 in Escondido. It happened just after midnight on the northbound lanes near Center City Parkway. At one point, all lanes were shut down. We're waiting for an update from CHP on how that driver is doing right now, though all lanes are back open.
Today marks another major sentencing in the nationwide college admissions scandal, and this time it involves former owner of KFMB stations.
News 8's Chris Groh live now with a closer look at what's happening later this morning. Good morning, Chris.
Yeah, good morning, Eric and Anna. Well, the sentencing will become official later on this morning. But remember, Elizabeth Kimmel initially tried to fight these charges, pled not guilty, but has since changed her tune. In August, we found out that she indeed went ahead and pleaded guilty. Now, with that condition, she already has her sentencing figured out, but she has become now the 32nd person in this college admission scandal to go ahead and plead guilty. Now, Kimmel, according to the facts presented in the case, paid $275,000 in order to get her daughter accepted at Georgetown University as a tennis recruit. She also paid $250,000 to get her son admitted to the University of Southern California as a pole vault recruit. The only problem is, like in so many cases, neither were competitive athletes, neither went on to play for either of those teams. Now, under the terms of her plea deal, Kimmel will receive a 6-week prison term, followed by a year of home confinement and another year of probation. She will also be required to pay a $250,000 fine and perform 500 hours of community service. We did speak with a San Diego attorney after the plea deal was announced to get his thoughts about this and whether or not this may change things moving forward for college admissions, if there might be some sort of lesson learned here.
Instead of doing it on the basis of relative merit or virtue or intelligence or test scores or even athletic ability, it was done here just on the basis of buying a ticket.
Laptops over there. And the sentencing, again, will make things official for Kimmel later on today. That'll be happening around noon our time, 3 p.m. over in Boston, where a lot of the proceedings, where the charges were filed in this federal case. Eric and Netta.
Chris Groh, thank you for that update. Well, today the final farewells begin for former Senator and presidential candidate Bob Dole. He will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda this morning, and this will not be open to the public because of the pandemic. Tomorrow, funeral services will be held at the National Cathedral. Dole served in Congress for 36 years. He died over the weekend at the age of 98. Our coverage of today's memorial service will begin at 7 a.m. It'll be over on our sister station on the CW, and you can watch it through our News 8 app. We will also carry the funeral service, and that would be tomorrow morning. Jury deliberations are set to begin this morning in the case of a former La Mesa police officer who's being charged with falsifying a police report. Matt Dagas, who you see right there, accused of lying about what happened during the arrest of Amari Johnson at the Grossmont Trolley Station in May of 2020. Dagas faces up to 3 years in prison if he's convicted.
We are just one day away from a vote on a $160 billion transportation plan that would include more taxes. And this morning, some local leaders are speaking out against this. The biggest point of contention, that 4-cent per mile charge to drive. SANDAG's proposal also includes 2 half-cent sales taxes. Because of the pushback, SANDAG staff have already been directed to find alternative funding. County Supervisor Jim Desmond and other elected officials will speak out against the plan today. They say it does not suit the majority of San Diegans. More than 200 million Americans are now fully vaccinated against COVID, but cases of COVID-19 still increasing. Hospitalizations jumped nearly 30% in the past month, driven by the Delta variant. Meantime, the Senate approved a resolution to nullify the president's vaccine or test requirements for businesses. The House is not expected to take up the measure. The mandate has already been put on hold by a court of appeals. Rain coming down right now in parts of the county here. Let's check with Netta.
Yes, the rain is coming down, and look at this live shot right here, right outside of our studios, where you can see, some rain that's coming through. It's light to moderate for now and pretty scattered. So there are some parts of San Diego right now that are very dry. You're not going to have to deal with those slick roads for you. But here in Kearny Mesa, we've seen a fairly steady stream, I would say, for the past maybe 30 minutes or so. So it's coming in all right from the coastline. And there was a line of green that I was watching on our satellite imagery. So let's get right to that too, where you can see where that green is. So a lot of this is starting to move along, and leaving you with just kind of lighter stuff, just that light drizzle. You are starting to see a little bit coming into Camp Pendleton, it looks like, and then it's starting to pick up just along the foothills. But obviously, these are really just light drops that are coming through. So nothing major yet, unless you're right here in this little stretch right here. These pockets of darker green and yellows that we've seen usually indicate heavier downpours. So just at Point Loma, that's where it's coming in. Coronado now, you're starting to hear the pitter-patter likely of those raindrops, and then taking you up along Claremont into Kearny Mesa. It's moving along now east as well into La Mesa, possibly Santee here over the next few minutes. It'll start to pick up right along the 52. So this was the area that was coming in pretty good on the 805. So what that means is now you will be left with pretty slick roads. Unfortunately, that is happening at the moment. The bulk of the rain, though, it's still way up north. I mean, it has stalled over Northern California in the overnight hours. So the reason why why we're getting anything right now, just the outer bands, that initial preview that tends to happen. So this is what we're waiting for, and that's actually going to bring us more of that measurable kind of activity. So it's still yet to come, and it is slowly now getting into Bakersfield, moving into Central California, San Luis Obispo. The snow is coming in pretty good along Mammoth, up across the Sierra Nevada mountain range. So the next few hours, you'll see a lot of this kind of pockets of scattered light to moderate rain now until 10 a.m. or so. But this is when it will arrive, the actual big event. So 1 p.m., 2 p.m., it'll start to build. From 3 to about 6 p.m., I will say, it'll get pretty heavy. And then it sweeps on through, and that's it. So by the end of tonight, we may just have some lingering activity. Checking in on traffic, though, exactly where we see the darker greens and yellows on our satellite radar would be exactly where we're seeing those accidents. So unfortunately, we try to give people a heads up, but it's hard when it's slick out there. We have that sheen on the roads, especially right after that initial rain. So these accidents just showed up. This green that you see, that's that road weather index indicating it is wet on the 805 even up until the 15. Now let me step over here so you can see what's happening on the 5 right now. So this crash at Claremont Drive just showed up moments after we saw this crash on Balboa. So on the 5 northbound side, that looks like it's going to be very slow. You can already see some of that backup building, the yellow that you're noticing right there on the 5 northbound. That'll be a tough ride. And then looking at this crash right here, Hotel Circle, this would be on the 8 going westbound. This does get very busy in the morning hours. So hopefully they will work to clear that up pretty soon. But again, these are all spots where that rain has been coming through.